Hello, and welcome to the Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter, and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks, and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business.
You know, feast or famine cycle hits harder without visibility over your finances. And that's why we love Rounded. It's an accounting system that reveals income sources, profitable clients and projects, and it helps you even anticipate quiet periods, doesn't it?
It does. It's great. And I know that because I've been doing this for quite a few years, like 10 years now, I have some real peaks and troughs over the years. And I think having that visibility into my finances really helps me, A, not get stressed, and B, manage that cash flow. I think it's really good.
Yeah, you can claim all the right costs and expenses with Rounders Expense Tracker, and some users have saved thousands through their tax returns. So it's really a total game changer for your money management.
True. Particularly, it's been a tough couple of years with this whole cost of living crisis. And I really like the fact you can track the invoices and payment reminders so you don't have to worry about those things. Like Rounded looks after it all for you.
It definitely does. And it frees up hours for you to either find more clients and earn more or maintain a better work-life balance.
We're all about that.
We are. And if you're a Rachel's List member, you get 20% off the annual Rounded subscription. So check out the show notes for more about that.
Fantastic. Hello again, Rachel. So good to see you again.
Yes.
I know it's school holidays, but you're still tripping on.
I'm hanging in there by my fingernails.
And we're talking about niching again,
yes.
Which is a really popular topic for all our listeners. But this time we're going to drill down into the fine details with our guest today.
I know, I was just talking to, funnily enough, an osteo about this whole niching topic because I'm trying to niche at the moment into web copywriting, but then there's that fear of if I go directly down that road and say no to everything else, you're going to have this barren wasteland. So I'm constantly doing other things as well. And then I come full circle and think, well, maybe I am just meant to be a generalist. So yes, it's interesting. We're going to talk to Sabrina Rogers-Anderson about this, about niching down and that whole process of, is it tough at first? Does it pay off? How long does it take to make it work in your niche?
I think it's really interesting, and I think Sabrina's story is quite powerful. So she's going to talk also about how to charge your worth and be quite unapologetic about it, which we love. So do you want to introduce her?
Yes. So for 25 years, Sabrina Rogers-Anderson has been producing evidence-based and engaging content that empowers people to improve their health outcomes across the lifespan. From healthy eating to fitness to mental well-being and longevity, she's passionate about helping people live their best lives. And her work's been published in magazines and websites around the world, including Women's Health, Men's Health, Women's Fitness, Men's Fitness, Good Health, Australian Women's Weekly, Prevention, Body and Soul, Women's Day, Runner's World, Baby Centre, Kids Spot, The Tot, Ask Men, and FHM. She's also a professional member of the Australasian Medical Writers Association and the Association of Healthcare Journalists. Welcome, Sabrina.
Wow.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, we were just talking off air about how you and I have known each other for many years.
Yeah, if I can just fangirl for a moment.
Oh, God.
I have to go back about almost 15 years now. And when I was thinking about launching or going freelance, I started researching, I'd seen your work here and there. And I started researching freelance writers' websites, and then I landed on your I don't know if you remember your website from 15 years ago, but beautiful portfolio website, and I was so impressed with it. And I followed your work, and then we got to know each other through various channels. And yes, I've been following your career for a long time. And Lynne, I'm new to your work, but it's only been a couple of years that I've like been following your work, but you're also a legend in the industry. So I'm very grateful to be chatting to you both today.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
nice. Thank
thank
you.
you. That
Mm.
website was like a picture that was chopped up and had links applied to it. So
It was
terrible for
so
SEO.
cool.
It was cool. It looked cool, but it was really bad for SEO or getting any traffic at all. So,
Yeah, I can imagine, but I really loved it. And I was like, I want to, yeah, I wanted to do something. Today I have a portfolio website. So
yeah.
yeah, you were my
Yeah.
inspiration for that.
Mm.
So
Oh, it
thank
was
you.
cute. I should chuck that on social. You know, people that revisit all their old stuff and they do that blast from the past stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
I
nice.
still think it holds up, even though
Mm.
it's not good for ranking. It
Yeah.
still looks like, as I remember, it was amazing. So
Oh, thank you. Well, tell us about your career. I mean, well, obviously we've just had a little snapshot of it and all the amazing mags that you've written for. But how did you start writing and start freelancing?
basically, I started freelance writing in the era of dial-up internet. So I used to plug in my internet. Remember
Love it.
that?
Love that
Yeah, yeah.
sound.
Yes.
And it would take forever to connect and it was so slow, but yeah, I actually did a bachelor's degree in psychology and then did that angsty early 20s thing. What am I going to do with my life?
Mm.
Before I decided to go back and do a graduate certificate in journalism because I was kind of trying to figure out what to do, and everyone I knew was like, you're a really great writer, why are you not doing that with your life? And I was
Mm.
like, yeah, good point. So I did
Mm,
that. And then as I was studying journalism, a friend, it was like the era, it was the 90s, .com boom. And a
Yeah.
friend started a website called Ask Men, which was basically an online men's lifestyle magazine.
I remember
And it
that.
was huge at the
Yeah.
time. It just boomed. And then there was that .com crash, and this website survived. It did really well. So it was like everyone knew it
Mm.
in those days. And he asked me if I wanted to do some freelance writing. And I was like, sure. But, I would do these travel top 10 articles. It was like 10, partying destinations or things like that. And it would take me like 25 hours to write one article because of my stupid, slow internet. And because I was such a perfectionist and so terrified that someone would tell me that I'd made a factual error
Mm.
or I wasn't a good writer. And anyway, I poured my heart and soul into that. So, I eventually started working for Ask Men as a web editor because that was actually a job back then
Mm.
because you had to know like HTML to, post stuff online. And then I became senior editor there. And then I moved to Australia in 2007. And people were like literally throwing visas at me because I had this highly skilled web editor
Mm.
position. And
Wow.
I ended up working for several years for a bunch of magazines in Sydney as a web editor, so NW, TV Week, FHM. And I was writing for them and also doing some freelance writing on the side. And then finally in 2011, I just decided to take the plunge and go freelance.
Mm.
And I haven't looked back since then. Yeah, it's been, 14 years. And it's been great because obviously the flexibility with having children and all that. I didn't even have kids at that time, but started having children shortly after. And it's been the best move I've ever made, even though
Yeah.
it can be quite, as we know, it has its issues as well. But yeah, I love working for myself.
Yeah.
Mm,
Oh, we sing from that playbook as well. I mean, I love
Yeah.
it too. The
yeah.
flexibility and being your own boss, there's nothing that beats it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
when you pitched to us, I love the story about how and why you decided to niche down. So do you want to share
hmm
that with our listeners?
Yeah. So I mean, I've written about every topic under the sun during
Mm.
my career. Like I was a sex and relationships writer for a while. Like I had a column in FHM called Ask Sabrina. And then when I became a parent, I niched down into that for a little while, or just I was writing a lot about that. And
Mm.
I kind of gained a profile for writing a Bogan baby names article that went viral. And then
Yes, I remember that.
Mm.
oh, and then I wrote a whole bunch of follow-ups and they went all, always picked up by
Mm.
media and ended up writing a book about that. But so parenting was my thing for a while. I've written about business and tech, but my main passion has always been health and fitness. Like when I started writing for Ask Men back in the day, that was one of the main first topics I started
Yeah.
writing about. It's always been my thing. Like I live and breathe it. I've always been someone who's really active into fitness, into healthy eating. So it's a real passion of mine. But I never felt like that was something I could niche down into because I thought, like you said before, Rachel, like how I was so used to doing everything. And I guess I had a bit of scarcity mentality, which was like,
Mm.
you know, if I eliminate all these other topics, how am I going to make enough money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
basically, And I was worried on missing out on all this work.
Yeah.
And strangely, how it happened was I actually went through breast cancer treatment and my marriage broke down within the same sort of
Yay.
2 year period.
Mm.
So it was a pretty full on couple of years. But bizarrely, the year after that, like when I was starting to kind of rebuild my life, I had
Mm.
the best business year of like I've ever had in the 14 years I've been
Mm.
freelance. Just like my sales went through the roof. I just had a whole bunch of work coming at me. And I was actually nominated for an award, an Osmompreneur Award for
Mm.
overcoming the odds for having such a good year following
Mm.
all that adversity. And I went to Sydney for the awards. And I was listening to all these presentations, and I felt like a lot of the advice didn't really apply to me as a freelance writer. So I
Mm.
remember popping up my hand and asking a question and saying, how can someone like me get some help,
Mm.
and the speaker suggested getting a business coach. And I was like, oh yeah, in my mind, I was always thinking, can I afford a business coach? Is it for
Mm.
me? And after that presentation, someone came up to me and suggested I get in touch with Mel from Profit Lovers. Highly recommend.
Mm.
She was amazing. So I hopped on her website and she had such a beautifully designed website. Book a free call. I saw her packages. I was like, oh, I can afford that. Ended up working with her, and she's the one who suggested niche down. She said something to me that I will never forget. It's so
Mm.
hilarious. It plays in my mind all the time. She said, right now you're an easy lay, but we're going to transform you into wife material. What she meant by that, what she meant by that is like you're kind of, spreading yourself around,
Yeah.
trying to do work for everyone, but we're going to make you specialize you. And then by niching down, you become an expert in your field, you can then charge the big bucks.
Yeah.
So I did that. I followed her advice. I can't say it was easy right away. Work didn't start just pouring in, it was for the first 6 months to a year after that, there was some growing pains, but I stuck to it. And I'm really glad I did, because now exactly what she said would happen has happened. And I'm charging a lot more than I used to. And I'm getting work in my field. And I'm really, I used to have so many clients and jobs that I really just didn't want to be doing and didn't
Yeah.
enjoy. And now I'm writing about what I like, and it snowballs. Like when I speak to an expert, I have so much more knowledge in my field now, so I feel more knowledgeable, and then I'm a better interviewer. I just feel like I've really been honing my skills, and I'm just this past couple of years, I've gotten even so much better at my
Yeah.
craft because it's all I'm doing. And I have the confidence now to say, this is what I'm worth, and this is how much I'm going to cost.
Yeah.
Mm.
So interesting.
Talk to us about that process, though, that kind of hairy time, teething, process where, I mean, were you actually saying no to things and referring them on, or how did it work where you were doing everything for everybody and you suddenly just went, no, I'm only going to work on health and fitness commissions or work with clients?
That's a really good question. I absolutely didn't say no to other jobs, and to this day, I sometimes get someone pop in. Like I used to do some awards writing, award submissions. I've
Yeah.
just had an old client. They pop up about once a year, ask me if I can, and they always ask me at the last minute. So I charge them a massive rush rate, and I take it on because why
Yeah.
not? I don't in any way need to. You don't need to refuse. It's just about your branding. It's just like
Right.
I basically went on LinkedIn and was like, surprise, I'm now a health writer, and changed my LinkedIn
Yeah.
and just announced that I'm now a health writer, and, started like posting just about that. But I can absolutely take on jobs that are not, and I still do more rarely now, but you can absolutely still do that while you're, you know, kind of building up your brand as a niche in your niche. So you can
Yeah.
absolutely do that. And yeah, everything, it is hard to suddenly start being like, I'm going to charge you this much when, like, for so many years I undercharged people. I didn't have the confidence. I was charging people like 40 bucks an hour, or I'd like, do someone's entire website content, 5 pages for like 500 bucks. I'd quote them 500 bucks. And then I'd end up doing this insane amount of hours and watch my hourly rate go down to peanuts. Then I'd get resentful because I felt like I wasn't making any money. The client kept asking me for changes. Wasn't happy doing the work, and I was always frustrated. And it's
Yeah.
Mm.
like that's where I got, to the point where I guess both the niching down and the many years of experience I now have doing this have given me the confidence to quote what I'm worth.
And what, because I know you're big on charging what you're worth. So
Hmm.
how did you move from say $40 an hour? Did you, talk to other freelancers or did you look at what other people were charging or how did that kind of evolution happen for you?
Well, my business coach was like, you need to be charging bare minimum $100 an hour,
Yeah.
if not more. She wanted to push me towards, like, her plan was to push me towards more towards the 140 range. So she gave me the confidence to start charging my worth. And there was also, before I worked with my business coach, there was also a client that I worked with. They were a big childcare provider and they asked me for a quote and quoted them $50 an hour to do this whole big work. And they were like, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. You're worth $100 an hour. So it was all these little things, like Tetris
Yeah.
that kind of clicked into place. And I was like, okay, I am definitely worth more than this. There's another thing that really was instrumental. I cannot remember who said this or if I read it somewhere, but this quote has stuck in my mind and I live by it. It's if you're not quoting an amount that makes you feel uncomfortable, you're not quoting enough.
Mm.
Mm.
And if you're hitting send and you feel, okay, like, no, you need to go back and revise your quote until you're sending something that scares you a little bit. Like
Mm.
like, it seems outrageous. And you
Yeah.
know what? When I started living by that principle, because it's inevitably going to take you longer than you think. It always does. I'm getting better now at getting an idea of how long a project's going to take me. But especially with small business clients, oftentimes their ideas are all over the place and they might change their mind midway. You have to have an endpoint. So I guess those are the two things I've done. And what I do now is for example, if I'm quoting someone for big website content creation project, I will give them an amount and I'll say, I won't work for under $100 an hour anymore. That's my
Mm.
minimum. And once I reach, say if I say $5,000 for this project,
Mm.
once I reach 50 hours, I tell them, well, I've now reached the amount of hours that I've allocated to this project, and I'm gonna have to start wrapping it up. And if there's more work beyond the scope of what, because I'll always tie
Yeah.
up what I've promised,
Mm.
then I'm gonna have to quote you an extra amount. And people are always okay with that. Like they understand. And that was something I was so fearful of doing before, and now I've done it several times and even with small business clients, they completely understand and they are always willing to, allow for me to quote more for extra stuff. So it's just about, I think, doing it in little increments and trying it. And then every time you send that big quote or you tell a client that you set a boundary with them and they accept it, then you gain that confidence to do it again. And I think that's what you've got to just face that fear. It is scary. It's scary hitting send on that big quote, but you've got to try it and realize that actually people, if you position yourself as an authority who's worth this much and you have this many years of experience and you believe in yourself and you value your own work, your clients are going to start valuing your own work and they will pay
Mm.
you what you're worth.
Mm. It's also like a bit of a mindset thing, isn't it? Like maybe we think, oh, that person might not be able to afford my 5 or 10 grand quote, but actually it's none of your business what they can afford or not afford. You have no idea if they can afford it or not afford it. But we try
Exactly.
we try and put ourselves in the client's shoes when
Hmm.
actually no, we should just stop doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's too much for them, they will tell you.
Yeah.
And you can always negotiate as well. If someone comes back and says, I mean, there's always the possibility they'll just ghost you. But if someone comes back and says, that's too much for me, you have the option to negotiate down and
Yeah.
say, well, why don't we reduce the scope of what I'm going to do for you? Maybe we won't include this, or we limit it to this number of hours and we can reduce the quote and you can still negotiate with the person. But I think you do have to have the confidence to charge what you're worth, know you're going to probably spend more hours than you initially thought you would. And
Mm.
yeah, just hit send.
Yeah.
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 Do you think that by niching the way you've done, it also means that you're getting clients coming to you. Is that part of it? So you've got a bit more control and you're setting rates rather than pitching out there?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of pitching anymore. I do for some clients, but they'll be short and sweet pitches, doing that cold, like,
Yeah.
pitches to mags like I used to do in the day. I don't have the energy for that anymore. I am a very lazy marketer. I have to say that. I've only started, like, my big strategy is to post regularly on LinkedIn, and that's pretty much it. So I have relied on clients coming to me for most of my career. I do, like, recently I just did a push, to get some new clients because I was like, I need to I've learned to always be planting seeds now. I used to wait until my workload dried up and then I was panicking to go in. Now I'm like, oh, it's slowing down. Like, it's not coming at me like it was. So now I know to be planting seeds ahead of time.
So you really are marketing, even if you say you're not really marketing.
I am, but I mean, like I said to you before, I don't even have a newsletter. I don't even I do a minimum. I'm really enjoying the LinkedIn. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit nerding out on LinkedIn at the moment.
Mm.
I do like posting there, and I feel like it really. I've had a few gigs come through there, and I feel like it's really helping my profile. But I could be doing so much more than I am. But yeah, I guess I am pretty lucky. I also have a lot of contacts in the industry from working in magazines for so long. Rachel, both of you would know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
So, recently I just reached out. I sent a few emails to a couple of old contacts. I go on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, this person's working here now. Okay. And I just send an email. How are you? Like, just how you been? Da da da. And then suddenly I've got some new clients. So,
Yeah.
I guess that is another advantage of when you've been in the industry for a long time. You do have those contacts you can reach out to.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, wow. I want to go back to pricing for a minute because I
Hmm.
thought what you do is kind of sounds a bit similar to what I do. Have you created packages or anything for your
Oh.
work, or is that something you're thinking about doing?
Absolutely. Something I've been thinking about doing for so long, along with
Yeah,
the
me
newsletters. It's on
too.
my to-do list. And I
Yes.
have I have like the quote from my web designers to do it. I just haven't moved ahead yet. I do
Yeah.
want to create some packages because the the reason I signed up with my business coach is her website is so perfect. I always thought, nah, business coach is too expensive. No, I hopped on her website. She had these beautiful packages. I realized that I could hire her for like 3 months for like a few grand, and it was totally affordable. She had payment plans. And then she had underneath her beautiful packages, she had a nice book a free call button. I clicked. Within 5 minutes, I was booked in with her. And, then once I talked to her, she had me hooked. That's what I want to create on my website so that people can easily, price transparency
Yeah.
apparently is the absolute way to
Mm.
like convert more clients because people will assume that you're too expensive unless you prove them otherwise. And I think those packages can be really helpful. So that's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
But in terms of pricing, I kind of go work three ways, and I'm sure you're probably the same.
Mm.
I'll either quote a flat rate per project, and I really enjoy doing that because it gives me some leeway to play
Yeah.
around. And yeah, I kind of evaluate the number of hours, and then, like I said, my minimum rate that I'm willing to work
Mm.
for. And then yeah, I do now say once I've reached that set number of hours, I'm sorry, but the project's done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can charge per hour. That's not my preferred way. And a lot of like clients that I work for now, still, whether it's, mainstream media or even, companies like I write for HCF, they often do a per word rate. And that works out really well for me because I've become so efficient at,
Mm.
at researching and interviewing that, sometimes my hourly rate may work out to $150, $200 an hour once I've done that. So
Mm.
I do really enjoy that as well. So I do have different pricing options and structures, and it really depends on what my client prefers. But packages, I do think, are something that are very helpful and useful to have on your website.
Yeah.
And I want to
Mm.
do that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, let's talk a bit about health writing and
Hmm.
the big elephant in the room, AI.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in that regard? Because we're hearing so many stories, and some people aren't touched by it at all. Their clients don't even care. Some people are losing clients hand over fist. So what's going on in health writing?
I think niching down into health couldn't have happened at a better time because I think AI is very useful for some things and very, for those generic sort of topics or my field, like AI is completely incapable of digging into scientific studies like I do. Like the number of times I've just tested it to see if it could summarize a study and it's given me completely false
Yeah.
information. And then I've questioned it and it said stuff like, oh, sorry, that wasn't actually in this study. I went and found that from other sources. And I'm like, no, please stick to this study. I'm
Yeah,
just asking you to summarize this. And it's still making errors. So
yeah,
while AI may potentially be able to do that one day, it's certainly not there yet. So there's that. Like my research skills and my analytical skills are something that AI is completely unable to replicate at the current time. There's also the fact that there is a huge pushback against AI sounding content at the moment. I think my clients specifically, like a client like HCF, or I write a lot for Citro as well, which is it's it's a website for people 50 plus, which has a lot of evidence-based content. It's a rewards program that's backed by AMP, but they're not plugging any content. They really want their content to be evidence-based. And they take pride, like HCF will very at the top of their blogs, they'll write very clearly expert contributors and which doctors I interviewed and which, they take pride in producing that content that's expert and evidence-based. And there's no way they'd be associated with AI content
Mm.
because it's not credible. It sounds generic. It sounds so in my field, I don't feel at the moment that I've been affected at all. What's it going to be like in 10 years? I don't know, but I'm not going to sit here worrying about that just
yeah,
now. And I've made friends with AI as well. I do use it to spurt creative ideas. I thought either I can be scared of it and ignore it or I can just jump into it, try to understand it and see what it can and can't do. And actually that made me feel better because I'm like, I'm not replaceable just yet.
yeah,
And it can be useful for some things like
yeah,
just to spark those creative ideas. Or sometimes I've written a paragraph and I don't like how it sounds and I pop it in AI I'm like, please rewrite this. And then I won't take exactly what it's written, but it'll give me the idea, oh yeah, that's a nice turn of phrase, and I'll use that to rewrite, So
yeah.
I've kind of embraced it rather than, yeah, being scared of it. And I think
Mm.
that's the way to go for if you can.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really interesting. We talked a bit off air about the books that you've written because you are a
Mhm.
published author. Do you think in a niche that being an author also gives you sort of implied expertise and that like it makes you a position of authority too?
Um, I think that could be the case for some authors. Can't say that both my books were commissioned from me. So I wrote a sex sort of self-help book, which was an American publisher who was launching he wanted to do like a for dummies type of series, and he had one on financial well-being and all this stuff. It kind of tanked, so I can't say that I did it because I was like, I'll be a published author. And then the second book was commissioned from me from an actual Aussie publisher. So I wrote the Little Book of Vogue and Baby Names because my column had gotten, so much attention. It's like a little coffee table book. It's like to give, you can give at a baby shower or whatever, just to.
Yeah.
And I made no money off either of those books, and today they don't particularly help my profile, but they did at the time, especially the Vogue and Baby Names book. I did like hundreds of radio interviews. I'm still the go-to baby names person on the ABC, so they'll often call me to just
Yes.
have a chat about crazy names. And so it certainly helped my profile at the time. Now, less so, and they're not really relevant to health, but no regrets. I think it was
Yeah.
still an experience.
You got to write your next book, which is going to be about fitness in some way.
It's got to be my next one has to be a passion project. It
It
has
could
to come
be
from the heart,
fitness for menopausal or perimenopausal women.
which is a huge passion of
Yeah.
mine because
Yeah.
I'm living
I
it.
want that book.
So
You have to
yeah,
write that book.
yeah, I'm obsessed with that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. I wanted to ask because we just had Amy Hadley on the podcast, and she's a beauty copywriter talking about regulations and being in a
Mm,
regulated industry, which you are, and
Yeah.
you're a member of two health associations.
hmm
How do regulations, affect your work, and have you had to do extra study to make sure you know what you can and can't say and all of that sort of thing?
Yeah, amazingly, I've researched over the years so many times, and I reached out to another member of Rachel's list to ask her because she's a medical writer as well.
mm,
And there are not really any sort of accredited medical writers courses. It's amazing how little there is out there.
mm,
Mm,
And I honestly, I just make sure that I triple check all my sources. I guess that's one thing that's made me successful in this is I'm so stringent on making sure my evidence is, backed up by
mm,
yeah.
credible sources. But no, I don't work in like the pharmaceutical or the really medical, like I write health content mainly for me for sort of mainstream media. So I take I will analyze a lot of studies and research, but always putting them into layman's words for mainstream media. So I don't have to worry too much about anything regulatory. And I've never in 25 years of writing had any issues with I've never had anyone say I got something factually wrong
mm,
or that, yeah.
mm,
So I've been lucky, I guess, in that sense,
mm,
and I don't
Yeah.
haven't had to worry too much about it. So,
mm.
Mm, mm,
Interesting.
interesting. We talk a lot on the podcast about using your transferable skills, like especially from journalism to say copywriting. And you
mm,
seem to have done that really well. You must meet a lot of journalists, who are coming from magazines and don't realize the other areas they could step into or are too nervous to do that. But
yeah,
do you think journalists are just so skilled and so perfectly poised to, move into other areas and use those skills?
absolutely. I felt the same way when I started copywriting. I felt like a massive imposter. But honestly, I think journalists at this stage probably have no choice but to branch out because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
just not enough work in editorial anymore, and oftentimes the pay is just not up to scratch. And so I used to think copywriting would be real salesy, and I hate sales. I'm not a salesperson. I don't have a sales bone in my body. And I
Yeah.
thought it would be like having to, write that real salesy copy. But to be honest, if you're writing within your niche and what you're passionate about, it doesn't feel salesy. Like I'm writing, actually, Rachel, you just
Mm,
passed on a client to me who I'm writing, she's a personal trainer, and I'm writing all her website copy and all that. And I don't feel like I'm having to, you know, s- sell something that, it's not a hard sell. Like it's something I'm passionate about. And, I'm someone who's at the gym 6 days a week. So comes easy for me.
mm,
And I really feel like if you connect with the person's product or service, it's not going to feel like you're trying to sell something you don't believe in. So you're just, I don't know, it's a natural step. And I do think it's yeah, it's an easy way for journalists to kind of get more work because it is really tough out there,
mm.
especially if you came from the print magazine industry and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not exactly going strong anymore. So I think it's yeah, again, it's about building your confidence. It's normal to feel totally out of your depth and like an imposter. Like when I went into copywriting, I started charging low rates again because I was like, I'm not good at this. And then I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any,
Mm,
but now I'm like, no, I've only been doing copywriting for a small portion of my career, but I still have all that experience. Like my
yeah.
clients love that I'm a storyteller. I think that's an overused word,
Yeah.
but they love that I come from an editorial background and I can bring that storytelling aspect to their brand. So you actually have to see it as a real strength for your clients.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely find that because I do think as media has shrunk and the opportunities there, that brands are taking up that slack. They're making
hmm
their content is sort of much more editorial in
Yes,
style and
Yeah.
more that storytelling idea. So it's definite. I'm seeing that in interiors, definitely. Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
how much of your work is content and how much is journalism?
It's funny that you asked that because I actually don't see a division between the
Yeah.
two, there's a lot of crossover.
Mm.
So okay, one of my major clients, I write the news pages for Prevention Magazine Australia, every issue.
Mm.
So that's my most editorial client. It's really just like a print magazine. I hold on to that because it's, I still love writing for print. Otherwise, like I was saying, I write for Citro, I write for HCF, which is a health
Mm.
fund, I write for another health fund. They never expect me to sort of when they commission an article for me, it's literally just as if I'm writing it for a magazine or,
Mm.
Yeah.
they commission an editorial. They never ask me to sort of skew my writing or plug products. They may insert some product plugs or ask me, can you please mention this product quickly? But they're never trying, it's never biased or they're never
Mm.
asking me to put this. So I kind of feel it's a bit the same. I'll get a brief from a client, whether it's an editorial client or a company, and it's like write an article on dental health or
Mm.
on whatever it is, fitness, like you said, for menopausal women, and I'll write it the same way. So I do find, I guess that comes back to what you were saying, Lynn. It's a lot, people do want that really credible editorial content for their brands because they don't want to seem like they're selling people
Yeah.
something and they want that credibility. So I do find that the lines are very blurred between the two.
Mm.
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 Yeah, it's like that brand journalism, isn't it? I don't think
Mm.
that term is used that much these days, but
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I would love to know your process for like keeping your pipeline full. I mean, maintaining that steady cash flow. It's something that we all struggle with. But do you have a system at all, or are you sort of just kind of your experience, you've been doing it for a long time, so you don't worry so much anymore?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to be fully vulnerable and honest here.
Mhm.
Cash flow is my Achilles.
Mm.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm not going to give, I actually have some tips someone gave me on LinkedIn, which I've not implemented. But cash flow is my Achilles. I'm a single mom of three. Life's expensive. I'm constantly chasing my tail and constantly waiting for money to land in my account. I have not solved that problem for myself yet. It's the worst part of my business. And yeah, I wish I was better at it, but with time, hopefully. Two things I've implemented is for big projects, I charge 50% upfront. So if I'm quoting you for like website content, or I'm currently ghostwriting a sobriety memoir for a reality TV star. So those kinds of projects, it's a big quote, 50% upfront, and then 50% upon completion.
Mm.
Also, I chase my overdue invoices unapologetically now. Like,
Mm.
I will send you reminders from my accounting software until it's paid. I used to feel, oh, maybe they won't send me more work. No, I did the work. I've given you plenty of time to pay me. I'm not like I just chase my money now. And
Mm.
you know what? People still send me work because they
Yeah.
know they're supposed to have paid me. So, and
Mm.
it's funny, it's the big companies that don't pay on time. The small business clients are the ones who pay on time because they know what it's like, because they're
Yeah.
also a small business.
Mm.
So I don't have any problems chasing my money from like big accounting departments because I'm like, where is it? Those
Mm.
are my two strategies. They're not the best.
Mm.
I had I posted about this on LinkedIn a while ago. I had a bookkeeper called Nina Miller, if you want to follow her. She gave a couple of tips that I thought I'd share. So she said that she provides debt collection services for her clients, and she says that nothing beats personal service coming from a real person. But she also says that from an automation perspective, there's a solution called Debtor Daddy, Debtor Daddy.
Mm.
So if you Google that, I mean it does start out like $119 a month, so it's not cheap. But I guess that is an automated solution to collect your
Chase
money.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then there's also, she mentioned Go Cardless, which is like for scheduled payments. So basically, yeah, I don't know if you know about it, but
Mm.
I hadn't really. It's like I'm a bit clueless about this stuff, but yeah, it automates the payments. You can collect payments directly from people. So there are automated solutions out there. I do want to look into them, but of
Mm.
course it's a budget thing, right? So
Yeah.
for
Mm.
me, it's not viable to go and pay $120 a month to,
Mm.
but
Chase
so
money.
cash flow is definitely not my area of expertise. And if anyone else has any tips for me, I am come at me with them because I'd love to improve that part of my business.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't have tips, but I'll tell you something I did recently because I was finding more clients wanted to pay via credit card, and I
Hmm.
never offered that in my own business. Like it's yes, it is with Rachel's List that obviously is
Yeah.
built into the system, but with my own business it was like my account or nothing basically. And
Hmm.
so I recently started a new, Stripe account, but then I was dithering about, what if I'm taking a $3,000 payment and then Stripe has this fee on top? Do I wear that fee or do I make them pay that fee?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just make them pay the fee and it could
Yeah.
be $100 or more or whatever.
Mm.
Anyway, people are just paying it. So I figure, well, you've got the option to put it in my account, not pay a fee, but if you want to pay with a credit card, you can pay the fee.
I'm sending myself an email right now about this. Thank you. That is really good advice.
It's kind
Yeah.
That
of it's very nerve-wracking, isn't it? Because you think there'll be pushback, but then
There isn't.
maybe people just accept that that's part of the cost of, you know, convenience and
Mm.
stuff.
it
Yeah.
is. And I think when people are sort of, it's funny you say that because I had to pay a large fee the other day for something like exactly this kind of situation. And I was like, I'll pay it because I just want peace of mind. I hate having, you
Mm.
know, debts over my head. I'm like, I will pay the extra like $70 or whatever it was just to have that paid. So I think
Mm.
that's a really good tip.
Yeah.
And I'm going to implement that as soon as
Mm.
we're done here.
Let
Yes.
them pay the fee.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that
So
makes complete
tell me what
sense.
a typical week looks like for you. Does it similar
Oh,
sort of work or does it vary a lot?
juggling work and all my children's activities and scraping for hours of work. But in terms of content, I do have quite a few regular clients now. So I have, yeah, like I was mentioning, the prevention news pages that come back. So, and then every month I've got a couple of pieces of content for HCF, a couple for Citro. So I'm constantly like I start my week by looking at my week and what I need to do and all the expert interviews I need to launch. I do a lot of interviews with experts in my field because
Yeah.
because I'm not a qualified health professional.
Mm.
I need to lean on the expertise of other people. So that's another thing I've gained confidence with. I used to be like, oh, I don't want to bother this person. Now I relentlessly hunt down the top experts. Like I'm trying to land an interview with this amazing, well, I mean, she probably won't mean anything to anyone unless they're in the field, but she's just, really in demand. She's been on Mel Robbins' podcast.
Mm.
She's an exercise physiologist. And I'm like, I have the confidence to just hunt people down now and I will just chase them. And yeah, so a lot of that is setting up these interviews, interviewing experts. Thankfully, I don't need to transcribe interviews anymore because that
Mm.
used to take hours. And yeah, just trying to, yeah, like, look ahead, see what needs to be planned. And I guess I'm lucky enough that I do have that regular content in there. And sometimes there might be those longer term projects, like that book I'm ghostwriting, I do have to set aside hours every week. And those are a bit trickier because you can be tempted to be like, I'll do that later. But I find that keeping myself accountable and scheduling time into or even like when I have to schedule a call with the client, that puts fire under my bum. I'm like, got to get this done. So my weeks are quite structured now, I guess, in terms of, yeah, I have to
Mm.
make sure all those puzzle pieces are in place so I can get everything done.
Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Mm.
Mm.
Well, if you're a regular listener, I think you probably are to the podcast, you know that we love to ask all our guests about their favorite tech tips or the tools they'd be lost without. So, what are yours?
Yeah, I'm not too techy, but I do use the software I use, the sort of CRM I use is it's called Go Indie. So I searched for a like a client relationship management software that was like um specifically for freelancers or for one person. I didn't want to pay for three people when it's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It drove me crazy, and I tried so many things, and nothing was adapted to what I needed.
Mm.
And then this has been a game changer for me. And it's not actually that expensive. It's based in America. I had a couple of teething issues with it. one time they like went offline for days and I couldn't access my calendar and I was freaking out, but they fixed it for me and everything was back. But overall for the price and all the like it allows me to make beautiful proposals that look really profesh. The calendar function where I can see all, my month at a glance, all that stuff. Yeah, it's really well adapted to what I need, and I don't feel like I'm paying this insane price for a team of 3 or 4 people that I don't need. So go indie. Or is it we are indie? Geez, I should know. Anyway, you'll find it.
Okay.
And then I just use accounting software, QuickBooks. Like it's just been, that's also a game changer for getting your bazes done. And yeah, those are my two main things. So
What do you use for transcription? You said you use
Otter.
use
I've
Otter.
tried the new like iPhone, function, but I don't know. I guess my Otter subscription's about to renew for another year. And I just really like it. I feel like everything's in one place and
Yeah.
it's reliable. I've never had any issues with it. So I'm not ready yet to cut the cord. I think I'm just going to go for another year and maybe next year like the iPhone function works well. I was quite happy with it the few times I've used it.
Yes, I've been nervous about using the iPhone one. I've done a couple of tests, but I haven't used it yet because interviews they have a lot of insecurity about losing the audio.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely understand that. But it creates a sort of voice note and it transcribes like the transcription and the audio is all there in one beautiful package you can send to yourself. So it did work really well. But yes, I think it's wise. I think journalists have been burnt once in their lives by losing one important interview and then you use
You're
what
screwed.
you know. Yeah.
And it's usually the most technical one with all the information in it that you can't remember.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, so interesting. Such a great chat.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
And tell us where our audience can find you.
SabrinaRogers-Anderson.com and on socials, Instagram, Facebook, and the like at
LinkedIn,
Sabrina
of
Rogers
course.
Anderson, LinkedIn, all at Sabrina Rogers Anderson.
Oh, fantastic.
Amazing. Well, that brings us to the end of the show this week. But thanks to everyone who's listening and feel free to leave a rating and review. We love it when you do that, don't we?
We do.
Yeah. And we'll pop everything into the show notes so you can find out more about where you can connect with Sabrina. And we'll see you next week, won't we? Will we?
For sure. We will. We will.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.